The Philosopher's Stone, a video created, directed, and produced by Reverend Dr. Dikki Mullen. In this video, Dr. Mullen will look at the association of astrology and the Philosopher's Stone, and we'll talk about John Dee's astrological monad hieroglyph.
This is astrologer and parapsychologist Dr. Dikki Mullen in Orlando, Florida, with some thoughts for you about the astrology of the Philosopher's Stone. In Shakespeare's time, there was a very famous astrologer named Dr. John Dee who did all of the court astrology for Queen Elizabeth I. And Shakespeare, of course, along with Dr. John Dee and everybody else, wanted to charm Queen Elizabeth I. And so in the plays, there are many references to astrology, along with almost every other topic that's of interest. And let's begin today with some ideas about Shakespeare and the astrological messages and the deeper spiritual astrology behind them. This comes from King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2. My father compounded with my mother under the dragon's tail, and my nativity was under Ursa Major. So it follows, I should be what I am, had I the stars and all the firmament twinkled. And then King Lear, further on, is these late eclipses in the sun and moon portend no good to us. Eclipses are very powerful. They're turning points. Today's astrologers think of them as energy patterns, but in earlier times they were thought to be sinister. The bay trees in our country are all withered, and meteors fright the fixed stars of heaven. The pale-faced moon looks bloody to the earth, and lean-looked prophets whisper fearful change, rich men look sad, and ruffians dance and leap, the one in fear to lose what they enjoy. These signs forever forerun the death or fall of kings. That's from Richard II, Act 2, Scene 4. Comets, importing change of times and states, brandish your crystal tresses in the sky. That's from Henry VI, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 1. And finally, we make guilty of our disasters, the sun, the moon, and stars, as if we were villains of necessity, fools by heavenly compulsion. And this is King Lear again from Act 1, Scene 2. So, John Dee was born on July 13th of 1527, and as Queen Elizabeth's court astrologer and magician, he left us a very interesting diagram called the monad, hieroglyphic monad, meaning of all things. You might want to look at the slide in order to get a better view. And this monad is thought to contain secret codes, messages, and energies to give us an advantage over the mundane world. And if you look at it carefully, you will see that the forms of all the different zodiac hieroglyphics, if you've studied astrology, are contained in the one, the monad. Many books have been written about it, and it is, we'll put it up again, the slide. And if you'd like to take a look at the slide, there you can get a close-up or better view of John Dee's monad hieroglyphic. The forms of the sun, the moon, all the zodiac signs and planetary symbols as far as Saturn, which is where the zodiac ended, this was before there were telescopes, of course, are contained in the monad, and it, more importantly, is thought to be the key to finding and using the Philosopher's Stone. John Dee had quite a career as a magician. He went from high heights to deep depths, and eventually did not fall into, well, he fell into kind of disrepute toward the end of his life, but he also selected the favorable coronation date for Queen Elizabeth I, who, of course, was until recently the longest serving monarch and had an entire age named after her. So there's a lot of power there. The Philosopher's Stone, the symbol of the most sought after magic of all. What is it? Does John Dee's monad really have the key to it? The most rare, famous, and precious stone of all is the legendary Philosopher's Stone, and its origins can be traced to at least 500 CE. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire for nearly 1,000 years, until the Middle Ages merged with the Renaissance in the 1600s, seekers looked for this precious object. Acquiring it was thought to bring the untold reward of riches, as well as the elixir of eternal life. Eternal life and money. What could be better? Entry into a magical heritage, thus escaping the drudgery of everyday world work and ill health. These were the wonderful additional benefits granted to those who were able to find or create the Philosopher's Stone. Other than John Dee's hieroglyphic, some sources describe it as a glowing red or orange stone, usually egg-shaped. There's been speculation that the famous red ruby worn by the immortal Count Saint Germain is actually the Philosopher's Stone. Periodically through the ages, people have claimed to spot Count Saint Germain, recently in New York City, in fact. In other cases, the Philosopher's Stone was thought to be a powder and not really a stone at all. The powder was created by mixing and processing base metals such as zinc, iron, tin, and mercury into a substance which would then become silver, or even better, gold. This was the way to acquire the precious powers, which were called the Philosopher's Stone. The experiments grew into the practice of alchemy, the forerunner of modern chemistry, pharmacology, and metallurgy. The most brilliant minds of the era, including Roger Boyle, who was the father of modern chemistry, Sir Isaac Newton, and Nicholas Flamel. These were among the dedicated alchemists seeking to discover the magic formula and the wonderful traits of the Philosopher's Stone. Many less well-known practitioners of alchemy became insane during the process, and in fact, that could be what happened to John Dee. Presumably, this is because they were poisoned while consuming toxic substances that they made during their experiments. Around the year 1382, Nicholas Flamel did suddenly become very wealthy and supernaturally strong. He donated his riches to charity, and then it is said that he faked his own death and disappeared, and it's been speculated that he continued to live on, supported by the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone. Now, Harry Potter fans will recall that Nicholas Flamel appears as a character in the first of the J.K. Rowling books, originally titled Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, although it was changed, the title was changed in later editions. And if you think about the life of J.K. Rowling, she is one of the richest women in England, in fact, right after the Queen, and she was impoverished. Pay no attention as a cancer. The story brings tears to my eyes because it's so dramatic. And at any rate, suddenly her books sold well. They are wonderful, but there's an awful lot of competition for children's books, and her whole life changed. Was it because of understanding the Philosopher's Stone? Possibly, maybe. Maybe there's some truth to it. It's been around a long time, and the theory has been around a long time in different ways. Right in front of us, we have the seven-pointed star of the planets. Now, the number 7 is a mystical number. It relates to the 7 days of the week, the chakras or chakras in the body, the musical notes in the scale, the colors in the rainbow, and the visible planets out as far as Saturn, because that's where the world ended until we had telescopes and could look further, are here. This is another version of the diagram of the Philosopher's Stone with the 7 rays and the planets and the geometric combinations. Look at it. Does it affect you? Can you feel the energy? How would you use it? In today's metaphysical and magical practices, the Philosopher's Stone survives, yet as a series of interlocking geometric shapes. The theory is that the study of these, it's connected to yoga, meditation too, will seek toward acquiring the genuine riches of spiritual gold, and of course having one's material needs fulfilled and satisfied is essential to move further. Deeper knowledge concerning the workings of the universe, morality, mortality, natural law, the higher self and higher consciousness, truth, right, and goodness are the rewards of the Philosopher's Stone. This is my opinion of what is, if you will look at the slide, here, opinion of what the geometric shapes ideally would be in the Philosopher's Stone, looking at different combinations of them. This can be colored with bright primary and secondary colors to add more energy to it. Begin by drawing a circle. This represents a man and a woman. Surround the circle with a quadrangle, a square. Around this, draw a triangle. Surround it all with another larger circle. Around the resulting diagram that one would come up with, words can be placed. In the small center square, you might write will, true care, and consciousness, and self. Just above them, in the innermost circle, would be the word warm at the top. And then at the bottom, find the word cool. Around the quadrangle will be the words beginning at the left and going up to the top and around to the right. Dry, natural reality at the top, moist at the right. At the left angle of the triangle, the word salt might be written, and at the top or the apex of the triangle, the word sulfur. On the right angle, mercury. Above it all, natural reality is written, and above that, inside the top triangle, is the word unity with enlightenment listed right underneath it. Finally, right around the large outer circle around the perimeter would be the 4 elements: earth at the lower left, fire at the upper right, air at the upper right, and water at the lower right. If you can figure that out, and it isn't supposed to be easy to create the Philosopher's Stone, just possibly you might join Nicholas Flamel, John Dee, and all of the others in discovering true spiritual gold and riches on every level. It certainly seemed to work for Shakespeare and other great notables of the era. In studying their lives, there can be a sudden turn for the better, breakthrough, followed by a donation to charity in many cases, and disappearance. This is Dikki Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida, wishing you the blessings of the cosmos and your quest for finding and creating the Philosopher's Stone.